Hey, what's up, guys? Ladies and gentlemen, it's Jordan Dove. Today is Monday, October 3rd, 2022, and it's time for this week's Market Pulse, where we're going to talk about what happened last week, the economic notes, what's going on in the economy. We've been watching that inverted yield curve. What's going on with that this week? We're going to have our national housing market update as well as our local market update here in Southern Nevada. I'm going to give you guys this week's forecast and predictions, and we are also watching the Federal Reserve, so make sure you guys stay for the whole video. A lot of good information in here. I'm going to give it to you guys straight, and I don't care if that means I have to lose money with clients, but I'm going to give it to you guys straight. No sales fluff. Again, my name is Jordan Dove. I'm the team lead, and I'm a realtor here in Southern Nevada with Dove & Associates at Nationwide Realty. We work with buyers, sellers, and investors. So if there is something you are looking for, something for us to do for you, feel free to reach out. My contact information is in the description. So let's get into the review of last week, where recession fears were mounting. Stocks ended September at their lowest levels since 2020, and that booked their third straight quarterly loss because investors were fearing that Fed rate hikes to tame the inflation would drive the economy into recession. Well, reality check, we're already in a recession. We're just waiting for them to admit it, but it's an election year, so I'm sure they're trying very, very hard to not put that out there publicly, although the textbook definition of a recession is 2 negative quarters of GDP growth, which was the first 2 quarters of this year. Okay, so also last week, fueling the fears, the core PCE prices inflation index, which excludes food and energy, that jumped 0.6% in August, plus initial jobless claims were the lowest since May, showing the economy and inflation aren't slowing much. So we're getting all these mixed reports. We're getting the good and the bad, and a lot of it just doesn't make sense, but it is what it is, and we're going with the data that is being provided. Consumer spending isn't slowing either. That's up 8.2% year over year. Inflation worries put the University of Michigan consumer sentiment down at 58.6 versus 72.8 1 year ago. But at least new home sales rebounded nicely, which we're going to talk about in a moment with our national housing market update. Last week ended with the Dow down 2.9%, the S&P down 2.9%, and the Nasdaq also down 2.7%. Bonds also headed south with a 30-year UMBS 5.5% down 0.19 to $99.12. And when you have lower bond prices, that means higher rates. And the national average 30-year fixed mortgage rate rose again in Freddie Mac's primary mortgage market survey. Remember, guys, mortgage rates can be extremely volatile, so make sure you check with your mortgage professional to get up-to-the-date information. A little did you know, Realtor.com reports today shoppers have more than 5 homes to consider for every 4 that they had this time a year ago. This will favor persistent and informed buyers who are ready to purchase. Now let's talk about some of the economic notes. Core inflation rose 4.9% from a year ago in August and 0.6% on a monthly basis, according to a measure that the Federal Reserve watches closely. Personal income rose 0.3%, the same as July and in line with the estimate. Spending rose 0.4% after declining 0.2% the month before. Headline inflation, including food and energy, also accelerated despite a sharp drop in gasoline prices. And what was interesting with all the layoffs going on, initial filings for unemployment claims fell last week to their lowest level in 5 months. The drop to 193,000 was below the estimate of 215,000. So we're getting a ton of mixed signals. Bond yields have been soaring, but they appear to be tapering off for the beginning of this week as we move into the inverted yield curve watch. The 30-year Treasury yield is sitting at 3.696%. That's down from last week's reading of 3.711%. The 10-year Treasury bond yield down 3.637%. Last week's reading 3.896%. So that is good. Hopefully we can see mortgage rates come down a bit. Might be a good time to possibly jump in with those rate buy downs. 5-year Treasury yield 3.859%. Last week's reading it was above 4 at 4.169, and the 2-year still sitting above 4 at 4.089, but that's down from last week's reading of 4.33. So we do see the 2-year inverted with the 5, 10, the 30. The 5 is inverted with the 10 and the 30. However, the 10 is actually just fractionally below that 30-year, so we don't have a traditional inversion of all the yields, just the 2 with the 5, 10, and 30, and the 5 with the 10 and the 30. So we're going to keep watching that. I do hope the yields start to come down, but I know investors especially institutional investors, they've been pulling tons of money out of traditional stocks and dumping them into these treasury yields that are paying, around 4% with one of the safest investments in the world. So I think that's why we saw a big dip in the major indices last week. So let's move into our national housing market update. I know that's what you're here for. I like to talk about the economic notes because that ties in with real estate. And here is our national housing market update. New home sales, this was surprising, jumped 28.8% in August, which is the largest monthly gain in more than 2 years. At a 0.658 million annual rate, sales are only 0.1% below a year ago, and the median price was down 6.3% from the month before. So I think those incentives that the builders are offering, locking in guaranteed rates, giving the upgrades, waiving lot premium fees, paying agents again, that is working, and people are taking advantage of that. And when I get into the local market update, there was some interesting data that happened with median prices, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. And I don't know if home prices are leveling off, but it appears that way, at least momentarily, because the Case-Shiller home prices dipped only 0.2% in July, while FHFA prices of homes financed by conforming mortgages fell 0.6%. The largest monthly drops for both of those since 2011, though they're still well up annually. The National Association of Realtors pending home sales index of contracts on existing homes slid 2% in August, but their chief economist noted if mortgage rates moderate and the economy continues adding jobs, then home buying should stabilize. So we're going to talk about our local market update because there are markers that are showing some stability in our market. We also have some good news for housing affordability for renters because rents are becoming more stable as Southern Nevada landlords are dialing back the huge rate increases they gave tenants last year amid a broader slowdown in the Las Vegas housing market. The typical rent in the Las Vegas area last month was just over $1,890, up about 8% from the year earlier, compared with a 25% year-over-year rent hike in August of 2021, according to figures from listing site Zillow. Now, Susie Vasquez, who's the interim executive director of the Nevada State Apartment Association, said that the number of people moving here from out of state is down, so our migration patterns are being reduced. She also indicated that units are sitting available longer and that landlords are appearing to be offering more concessions to prospective tenants. Maybe they're reducing security deposits and they're being a little more lenient on that application process, meaning before you'd have to have a 600, 620, 640 plus credit score. Now they are lowering those requirements. Now, compared to last year, she said the rental market is a totally different picture, and I agree with the amount of rentals that are available in the market and how much longer they're sitting. Now, the current absorption rate for Southern Nevada the past 4 weeks is 21.52%. That is up 1.43% from last week's absorption rates. This marks an increase for only the second time in the last 15 readings. So we did have a good bump. Sales were actually up at the end of the month for September. Now, a market with an absorption rate above 20%, that's typically called a seller's market, whereas an absorption rate below 15% signals a buyer's market. Now, the final numbers for median prices for the month of September are as follows. This was surprising to me, and this is a good thing. The single-family homes, $450,000 median price for September. That is no change. It is unchanged from the August median of $450,000, whereas in May we were at $482,000, then June $480,000, and then July 465, August 450, and we are unchanged for September. And every week I'm going to follow this on every Monday in our emails and on the Market Pulse video. I will be following the median prices and sharing that information with you so we can see where the trend is going, but no change from September to August. Definitely very interesting there. Now, condos and townhomes, those did have changes, albeit very slight. They were down kind of big earlier in the month, $10,000, $15,000 changes. Now, closing at the end of the month with 777 total sales for the last week. Condos only dropped $2,000 to $230,000 for their median for September, down from August of $232,000, and townhomes were down $5,000 to $320,000 for their median price of September. That was down from $325,000 in August. So it was surprising to me to see single-family homes having no change and modest declines for condos and townhomes. Do you guys think prices are beginning to flatten? I want to know what you think in the comments. Or was this a temporary stall in the market? We're moving into the fall winter season, which is historically slower times of selling. Personally, I think the holidays are the best time to buy a property where you can get the best deals historically, in my opinion. Now, for the month of September 2022, for single family, townhomes, condos, and manufactured, there were a total of 2,538 total sales, and 685 of those were cash buyers. That's almost 27%. It's 26.99% of all properties sold in those property types were from cash buyers. Now, after last week's small dip in available inventory, this week showed a slight rise in inventory, and it appears that inventory is leveling off between the 11,200 and 11,300 level. The past 27 of 28 weeks have seen an increase in available inventory, whereas last week was the slight dip. But again, these are very fractional increases and decreases we've been seeing, so I do believe inventory is starting to level off. The past 7 days in our market, we saw 976 new listings and 777 sold. 653 properties accepted a contingent offer, and there were 1,777 price decreases. Now, it's interesting to note that the week ending September 5th, we saw 614 closings compared to 777 4 weeks later, which is showing some health return to the market. People are getting back into the market. They're looking for deals. Now, with the influx of cash buyers and the incentives being offered by home sellers, I think that cash buyers are taking advantage of those, and home buyers who've been sitting on the sidelines, they're jumping in and they're getting their rates bought down by home sellers. So there is some movement. There's some more activity than I thought there would be. It'll be interesting to see what the fall season shows us and what kind of data happens, but properties are still exchanging hands, and that it was good to see an increase in sales at the end of the month, because I thought they would be down with mortgage rates being in the mid sixes. But then again, those rates are getting bought down, prices are being reduced, those incentives are there, people are taking advantage of that. Now let's go to the forecast for this week. Construction spending, manufacturing, services, jobs, we believe that they're all going to slip. August construction spending is forecast to be down overall, but we'll see how the residential part fares. ISM, manufacturing, and non-manufacturing indexes are expected to dip for September, but they're supposed to stay in the expansion territory. Non-farm payrolls should be off in September too, while the unemployment rate holds. And that is what we are going to forecast for this week. Make sure you guys check out Chuck Barone. He has daily market updates. He's a really sharp guy. Good friend of mine, business partner, been a mentor to me with his experience, and I'm really grateful for him. So make sure you guys check out Chuck Barone's show every day. It comes out Monday through Friday at about 2:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Now, watching what the Federal Reserve is doing, they raised rates, we know, last month another 75 basis points, and the sentiment did drop for another three-quarter rate hike in November with a 60% consensus. Last week, I believe there was about a 72% consensus that they would raise hikes 3/4, but another three-quarter rate hike is expected in November, followed by a 0.5% bump in December and a 0.25% increase in February. The current Fed rate is 3% to 3.25%. So we'll see what the Fed's doing, if they keep raising rates or if they start to taper off. Let me know what you guys think the Fed's going to do at the next FOMAC meeting in November, and we're going to go from there. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you guys being here. Again, if you need an agent in Las Vegas, if you need some advice, if you need a consultations are absolutely complimentary. Myself and my team are here for you to give you the best advice, the best data, no fluff, no sugarcoat. We're going to tell you how it is, whether we earn your business from that or we lose your business from that. We at least can sleep at night knowing we gave it to you straight, okay? So my name's Jordan Dove, your Las Vegas Realtor. You guys take care, have great, enjoy fall. Hope the weather starts cooling off. It's still 100 degrees here. But hey, man, we love you guys. Make sure you leave a comment if you like this kind of content. Please subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. If you don't like this content, don't subscribe. It's okay. I just want people to have the facts and the data so that you can make informed decisions, okay? Take care, guys. We'll see you next week.